If you want to look like a filter in real life, then stay tuned for this video. I'm giving you my step-by-step, very beginner-friendly makeup tutorial. So let's get into it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into this makeup look.
Hi y'all. Okay, so let's get into this step-by-step tutorial. I'm first starting out with my CeraVe eye cream, and then I went in with my Power Grip primer. And it's really important to use eye cream and also to prepare your base for your face, because you want your skin to be as hydrated as possible and to be very prepared for your makeup so that you can get the outcome that you want with your base and with all over your eyes. So I'm going in with this Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation. And this is one of my favorite foundations. It's medium to full coverage, and I feel like it's very buildable. And I like to go in with just a few pumps, and if I need any extra, then I will add it on after. But this is just a great way so that your makeup is not going to be cakey, because, you know, if you put too much on at first, it's gonna be tough to take it off. So just make sure that you are preparing and you're just putting a little bit on and just spreading it out as much as possible. I like to put this all around my face for an even tone. Now I'm going in with my Patrick Top Dual Bronzing Palette. It has a cream side and it also has a bronzing side, so that you can go ahead and carve out your face. I like to drag it alongside my neck, all the way down my chin, around my forehead, and carve out my cheeks as well. And just follow these placements so that you can literally be so snatched and literally just look sculpted and lifted and very bronzy. I love a bronzy look, and I love to put it like around my eyes, my nose, honestly anywhere that I can get a little snatch to look, that's where I like to put my bronzer. So it's just very important, your placement, because your bronzer concealer can really make or break your face. I know my face pretty well now, so if you're not sure how to do your nose contour, definitely just go a more natural route when you're doing that. For my lips, I like to go ahead and do it around my lips as well, to just give them the effect that they're a little bit bigger. I love how a big lip looks, so this step is definitely optional. And then I'm just going in and blending in the same motions that I applied the makeup. And when I'm blending, I'm not like being rough. I'm just doing very like gentle blending out, and you can blend for as long as possible. You don't want any like harsh indentations of like putting the makeup on. You want to show that it just is all like seamless and as blended as possible. So take however long you need with the blending process. For my nose, I like to blend it out with a separate brush, and this is just a smaller brush, and I got this brush from Morphe actually, but I'm just dragging it along downside my nose and up under my brow. I feel like when you blend your makeup into your eyebrow, it also just gives a very like seamless look as well. And then I'm blending it in the same direction that I applied it on my nose. I like to drag any extra bronzer and put it into my crease, just because I'm not really a big eyeshadow girl. So if I do want a little bit of color, I'll just bring that to my eyeshadow. Blending out my lips, on top and around my lips, just so that it's not too much. Now we're going in with concealer, and with concealer, this is my favorite step. So you don't even have to put this many dots, but because we are going for a little bit of a heavier look, I decided to put a little bit more, and we're gonna let this sit and dry down. I like to put it down my nose, in the center of my eyes. We're essentially putting it on the high points of our face where the light is gonna hit, so that it really just captures and enhances our natural features. I like to also put it on the sides of my nose too, just because that's how I'm gonna blend it out. I'm gonna put it right under my hollows of my cheeks, and like I said, just adding a little bit more to my forehead. I did let this sit for about 5 minutes, and I like my product to get very like tacky. The longer you let it sit and dry down, the better it'll be when you blend it out. Now, I know some people like to blend out with a beauty blender or a sponge, but for me, I like to use a brush, only because I feel like it definitely helps the product to stay in place more so rather than a beauty blender. That's my personal preference. I just really like how my concealer looks when it's blended out with a brush. And I did spray this brush before with a bit of setting spray. So that's just another tack that I like to use. So take your time when you're doing your under eyes. Literally, it's no rush. I like to drag it down and just be very intentional where my concealer is going, because I want my concealer to flatter my face and not feel like it's pulling it down, or I don't want it to look patchy. So I really take my time and just drag the product where I want it to be. But I'm not really blending out with tough strokes. I'm doing very light motions. Now you see how I had my contour place? I'm going alongside my nose with that concealer to kind of complement where I put the contour. Now I'm just blending out a little bit above my lip, and then I'm kind of gonna marry that with where I put it on my nose and then down the center of my forehead as well. And we're not done blending this, you guys. We're gonna go in with a beauty sponge after this, but I'm just showing you how I do it with the brush. Now I'm just connecting that and dragging that down to the center of my nose, and I'm patting this very lightly because I do have a scar on my nose, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not removing any product and I'm literally just patting it in place.
If you've gotten to this point in the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below what part is your favorite part of makeup, because for me it's always adding the lip gloss. I'm obsessed with any lip product, so be sure to comment down below your favorite product.
Now we are back to putting it under our contour, and I'm spraying my beauty sponge with this 3-second infallible setting mist, and I feel like that just helps me to keep the product on and lasting longer. And it's also another way to dampen the sponge without putting it underwater, because some people like to soak their sponge. I personally don't like that, but it really is your personal preference. Now I'm just blending out around the edges of where I placed the concealer, because this is going to help to marry it into the rest of my face where my foundation is, and on my forehead is where the contour is as well. So for this brush, I did spray it with the setting spray as well, just to blend out the rest of my under eye concealer. Like I said, take your time and just be sure to blend as much as possible, because you don't want flashback. Flashback is going to be if you're taking a picture of yourself and you feel like you look like a ghost after. You just really want to make sure that you're as blended as possible. I think less is more, definitely. I've been doing makeup for a really long time, so I know how to use the product, but we're not perfect. Sometimes it just takes like trial and error and playing around. And don't be discouraged if you don't get it the first time. Continuing to practice is always the best, because the more you do your makeup, the more you get comfortable and the more you learn your face. So I'm using this brush and I was blending out the rest of the foundation that was on there to the rest where my concealer is. Now we're on to our blush, and I'm placing this on like the apples of my cheeks, but more so upward right under my eye and into my hairline right above my ear. Now I'm just gonna go in and put a little bit of the concealer to blend it out. I didn't add any extra product. I'm just blending it out with that concealer brush. And now we're gonna go in and set it. You want your under eyes to be set before you place, to be blended out before you place your setting powder, because that's really going to make sure that you're not having like any like creases or any extra lines. Hence why we also used eye cream in the beginning, because you want to avoid having creases under your eyes as much as possible. But it is like a natural human thing, so if you do get creases, it's okay. It's just better to always blend out first before you set anything. And setting helps your makeup to not be sliding around all on your face, just because we do have like natural oils. So that's why I personally like a matte makeup look, when my makeup just looks very like matte and dry and not as glossy. I think that looks best and suits my face the best. Now I'm just going in with this MAC Studio Fix Plus and marrying all of this together of what I had placed. And this also helps to bring my color back to my face, which I really like because the L'Oreal setting powder that we used earlier, it is lighter. So this MAC Studio Fix Plus really helps me to bring and restore my color. Don't be shy when it comes to bronzing. So I'm using the Duo palette again and I'm going in with the bronzing side, and I love how this looks. So I just like to hit the hollows of my cheeks, my forehead, my chin, my nose. I put it everywhere essentially that I put the cream contour. With every step, make sure to blend, blend, blend. I can't say that enough. Now I'm using a color in, I think it's the shade Dara for the from the Warrior 2 palette, and I'm using this as a blush. I love to use my products anywhere that I like. I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I can't use that there just because it doesn't say that on the label. Like, I will use a lip liner for eyeshadow or whatever I see fit, just because I've always been like that. So feel free to use your products however you see fit. If you're like, oh, this would be cute as an eyeshadow or as whatever you want, don't be scared to just play in your makeup. You can do whatever you want with it. Now I'm going in and adding more of like blending and more color to my lid, and this is still the bronzing duo palette. So I'm also like going in and carving out my nose, but like I said, blending more is always going to be the best practice, or adding a little bit more. That's why it's good to not go so heavy the first time you place the product, because you may want to add more later as you do the rest of your makeup, because it may get like drowned out by if you're adding setting powder on your eyes or wherever. So we're just adding a little bit more bronzing to our neck and to our ears, and this really is going to help our face pop in our pictures. Now I'm adding my MAC lip liner in the shade Chestnut. This is so pretty, but I'm going very light because this is a darker tone. So I like to just add it all around my lips. I like to overline just a bit, and then I also will overline on my bottom lip as well. And you can either follow your natural shape, or you can kind of give yourself a different type of shape. That's what I kind of like to do sometimes, and round out where my lip bow is, or whatever it's called. Yeah, I forgot. But now I just use this color in NYX, and I really like a natural tone for my lips. Then I'm gonna go in and add MAC Lip Glass to top it off. This is like the prettiest, shiniest lip gloss ever. I love it. And now we're just adding a little mascara to make our eyes pop even more. I feel like adding bottom mascara really does make it feel soft glam, because I never do bottom mascara, y'all. And now I'm just going in my Anastasia Beverly Hills to touch up my brows a bit more, because I did my brows before off camera. And then we're just gonna go in and set it, and then we're all done.
Okay, y'all, thank y'all so much for staying tuned for this video, and let me know what you want to see next. Bye.